Hi everybody, it's Rob and Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby. Today we're taking a look at the Flyzone Focke-Wulf 190. Kurt, you've kind of had some experience with some RC.
Yeah, I've had some other Focke-Wulf, foam Focke-Wulf actually, and it was the shorter version. You'd mentioned.
Yeah, this is more of the what they call the Dora. It's not advertised as that model, but this is what was known as the D or the Dora, which would have been the interceptor, reconnaissance, night fire. Yeah, the Focke-Wulf had so many roles. It was a bomber, it was a fighter, it was a long-range bomber. It was just so many different things it did. And this particular version was used a lot extensively at night as a night fighter and for long reconnaissance missions. So with that said, you know, we've got the longer nose, which is a good thing.
Yep, because we had a challenge balancing them in the past. The short nose versions are tough to balance.
Exactly.
So you have to put so much weight up front, you end up adding weight to the model, taking away some of the performance. So well, there's a lot of details in this one. We've got a lot of things to take a look at, flaps, retracts. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
All righty. Well, as we mentioned, with this being an RXR, Kurt, there aren't a lot of pieces here. Basically what you've got mostly is assembly and a little bit of setup with the radio. If we take a look at the fuse here, start at the nose, we've got our motor already installed, our ESC is already installed. We've got our battery hatch right here in the front, which will make it nice and convenient to get the battery in and out.
You can actually access the motor from there too.
Yes, you can. There's a lot of room inside there once this hatch is off. There's actually some working room. We've got a nice looking detailed cockpit, but what we don't have is a pilot. So I think we're going to have to put one.
Don't we?
Yeah, we even got a stick. We've got dashboard, everything, all the controls. Rear view mirror. I think there's a cup holder in there. No. But just looking at the detail, they really didn't miss anything. All of the panel lines are in there. All of your decals are already applied. Very good job on the overall finish. Tail wheels got a nice scale look to it.
Yep.
The markings, the camouflage, everything. It's just a clean looking plane right out of the box. The main wing itself, a couple of things to mention on there other than the aforementioned detail. It's all on just as nice in the wing. You've got your ailerons. All the linkages and servos and everything are already put in that. We've also got split flaps on the back. And we've got the landing gear here. Now just looking, and this sounds silly sometimes to judge just by looks alone, you just see the detail in the landing gear there.
They did a beautiful job.
Yeah, they did a very nice job on it. Should be exciting to see how well this thing functions. Moving to the tail, elevator and horizontal stabilizer. We have one screw to put in that, which makes assembly time very quick. Everything's pre-hinged. Hook your linkage up when you're done. We've got a 3-blade prop,
which is pretty scale looking as well.
Yes, it is. It's actually got some pretty nice lines to it. We've got the nose cone, of course, and then your simulated, you know, your fin, I guess, around you'd call it around a motor.
Cooling fan.
Yep. Parts bag is just one little bag here. We've got a couple of carbon fiber guns that we'll push into the wing here. Wing bolt, we got an extra bolt for your tail feathers, and then your Velcro for your receiver.
Which actually, I bet that's functional. That fan's functional.
It very well could be.
It's going the right direction. It's going to push positive airflow right to the engine
compartment. It probably will. And that pretty much wraps up how it comes out of the box, the main assembly here. Why don't you talk us through the radio, Kurt?
All right. Well, this being an RXR, all we're going to have to worry about is providing a couple basic things. We've got an R617 FS receiver from Futaba, if I can get it out of the box. There we go. Which is more than enough channels. We're going to need 6 channels to run this: ailerons, elevator, throttle, and rudder, and then also our flaps and our landing gear. So we need 6 channels. We've got actually 7 or 8 on this one, depending on the configuration. And then this is the spec battery for it as well. It's a Flyzone LiPo battery, 1800 milliamp, 11.1 volt, or 3S, 20C discharge. So and you charge this at 1.8 amps, so it's a 1C charge rate, but it's an 1800 milliamp
It's a bit smaller than what we're used to seeing, isn't it?
It really is, and it's a little different form factor. If you notice the way the leads are coming out of the end, it's almost kind of playing down the lines of that flight bar configuration. We've seen flight power batteries with the leads coming out of the end. So it's kind of interesting. And in fact, they wanted us to hold off until they got this specific battery for it, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it performs.
Yeah.
And then handling all of the radio functions is going to be our T8FG transmitter, FASST Futaba transmitter. So we'll be able to do everything we need to with throwing our flaps on additional switches and mixing in a little bit of elevator with the flaps if necessary, and also getting our landing gear in place.
One thing I think is worth mentioning, Kurt, in the directions, they do give you all the instructions and setup for the Tactic 6 radio.
Yep. Yep.
So, anybody who's just getting into this, or maybe this is a couple ARFs into the hobby itself, don't get confused with the setup for that radio when, if you're using something other, if you're buying a receiver ready.
Yeah, yeah. If you're buying the RXR version, it's just some guidelines. But a lot of times you can look at if they have like Expo recommendations and things, you can usually carry those over from radio to radio.
You'll still use the same control throws. And
but the big thing is, and that's just what they're going to have us do with this being RXR, is go through and adjust our control throws.
Sure.
So we'll use our throw gauge, and we'll just make sure that our upwards and downwards or our left and right deflection is within specs, and then we'll set it up either as high rates or like we normally do. We try to do the Expo thing and leave the rates full, so it makes it kind of fun in the setup. But
definitely,
we're going to go ahead and get this put together. Shouldn't take too long, and get the battery charged, get it up in the air, and see how it performs.
All right.